Hi everyone, I'm CaliKim. Welcome to my garden. What if I were to tell you that instead of taking the winter off and waiting for the opening day of spring season, there are 4 fall garden projects that you can do now, no matter where you live, to give you a head start on spring gardening. You'll get your plants in the ground sooner than anyone else, and you'll be the first to harvest. Would that get you out of your seat? I have 4 simple garden projects to do this month over time, but not too much time. Do them this month so you don't regret it come spring and wish that you did. And I'll be doing them too. So do them along with me. Are you ready? Let's jump in. Project number 1 is to clean up garden debris and spent plants that have been growing all summer long. Now, why do you need to do this now? By doing this project now in the fall, you set yourself up for an easier and more productive spring, avoiding the headaches and stress of doing it in the busy spring season, and you'll have more flourishing plants. If you don't do it, you're going to have a messy garden, and it's going to make planting and planning in the springtime that much harder. And also, if you skip cleaning up, dead plants and debris can harbor diseases and pests over the wintertime, leading to infestations that can damage your spring crops. But by removing your debris now, it means you'll reduce disease risk and help your garden thrive next year. After you've cleaned out the garden debris, it's time for project number 2, which is to prepare your garden beds for spring. Now wait a second. I know what you're thinking. It's fall, winter is coming. Why the heck do I need to do this now? Well, by taking the time to prepare your garden beds now, you're allowing the soil to settle and improve, which leads to healthier plants and flourishing crops in the spring. By incorporating compost and worm castings into my soil now, I'm enhancing the soil structure and the nutrient content, so my plants will receive the best possible start in the spring. The nutrients will break down over the winter time while the microbial activity increases, and then I can enjoy my garden without all the pressure of these last-minute tasks. Project number 3 is to make good use of a free, abundant resource we have in the fall by collecting leaves. When you don't do this, you're missing out on a huge source of free fertilizer for your garden over the wintertime. Now, in the winter in Southern California here, we get the crazy Santa Ana winds. Lots of these leaves blow on the ground, and I'm able to use them to mulch my garden beds. Now, let me show you where I collect my leaves. Come on over here. Over here in a corner of my garden, hidden in plain sight, is a big, huge compost sack, a 100-gallon compost sack that I use to store the leaves that I collect in the fall. So the key is really keeping your leaves accessible to your garden. So at a moment's notice, I can pop down here and fill up a smaller container with leaves, and then take it over to my garden beds to spread mulch over the soil, which helps protect the soil in the wintertime from erosion and brings in the worms like crazy. So if you're not mulching your garden beds in the fall, again, you're missing out on this free resource. The leaves bring the worms in like crazy, which will chew them down and really enrich your garden bed over the wintertime. Plus, it protects your crops from overly cold temperatures if you have crops that you're trying to overwinter, protects the roots from getting too cold, protects it from the elements, the wind and the rain, and then all the precipitation and snow that you get over the wintertime, along with the worms, will help naturally break down the garden beds, leading to healthier and more productive plants in the spring. If you're enjoying our videos, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe, and also share it with your garden friends. It really helps us out. Thanks. So that garden bed that you just amended, take several inches of leaves, spread it on top of the compost and worm castings. It will prevent the weeds from taking over and prevent soil erosion over the winter. Now, if you don't have leaves or trees in your yard, head to a local park, bring a big, huge black garbage bag and collect the leaves there, or ask your neighbors. They're always willing to share their leaves. A lot of people have so much leaves that they don't know what to do with them, and they're willing to give them to you for your garden. Project number 4 for the fall is to start composting. If you're already composting, don't stop just because it's fall and winter. Fall provides an abundance of free compost materials like spent plants, fall leaves, and of course your normal kitchen food scraps. So let me head over and show you my compost area. Over here on the side of our house, not the prettiest area I know, I've got 2 different compost sacks. Compost sack number 1 has my finished compost that I just used on my garden bed. Now this has been breaking down all spring and summer, and I'm not adding any brand new materials to it yet. It's in a Smart Pots compost sack. So I've got about 50 gallons here of beautiful black gold that will feed my garden over the winter time. And if you're not composting, you're missing out on this valuable free resource. Now in the compost sack right next to it here, this is my compost in progress. And composting takes several months to break down. So by doing it over the winter time, you're giving yourself, again, a jump on your spring planting, and you're creating and making your own free fertilizer for fall. Now this is the 50-gallon compost sack. I really enjoy composting in it because it has handles so I can move it around. It's aerated with the Smart Pot fabric, which helps the compost materials break down faster. And it's just a convenient 50-gallon bag that you can easily use even in a small garden space. Now don't be intimidated by making compost. It's really very simple, and I encourage you to get started if you aren't already. So what I have in here is a lot of my fall leaves, which have been falling off of my trees. I have the sunflower stalk, which we removed a few weeks ago. Remember that video? And it's also where I throw all of my kitchen food scraps. And this compost is actually getting just a little bit warm as the microbes break down all the organic matter. Now the general rule of thumb recipe for compost is 3 parts brown to 1 part green. Now the brown are the carbon-rich materials that help feed the microbes over the winter time. So to this I'm going to throw in some of my garden leaves. You can also use like cardboard, shredded up cardboard if you want to, dried grass clippings. Got my sunflower stalks in here. And I'm also going to throw my spent plant materials that I just pulled out. And I'm going to save these huge zucchini and chop them up later and throw in the compost pile. But the smaller you can get your compost materials, the quicker it's going to break down. Now, in case you think you can't compost over winter because it's too cold, you actually can. The process of your compost pile freezing and thawing actually helps it break down quicker over the winter time, giving you that much of a jump start in the spring. So I got my brown materials in here. I'm also going to add my green materials, which are rich in nitrogen. So that would be my kitchen food scraps. Coffee grounds are really great. The greens provide nitrogen, fueling the microbes' energy for fast decomposition. Getting a balance of browns and greens makes sure that the microbes thrive and the compost stays well aerated over the winter time. But don't stress too much about an exact ratio. Now, all I'm doing here is just kind of giving them a nice little mix into my compost sack. And by the way, you can find these compost sacks over at smartpots.com and use the code CaliKim for a 10% discount. So I'm just mixing them in. Composting is a very simple process. Anyone can do it. Don't get too stressed about the ratio of greens and browns. Just throw it all in, add some water if it's dry. It should be about the moistness of a wrung out sponge. So I'm just giving a little extra water here. And this is how I feed my garden. I mean, you guys have seen my garden and how good it looks. Compost is the key to a really productive garden, and you can do it too. So I'm just mixing it in here, giving it a little bit more water. Compost needs the moisture for the microbes to thrive. Super easy to do over the winter time. Or skip the watering step altogether and just let the winter rain or snow do the work. Now I'm just going to cover it up, which keeps the compost all contained, nice and neat and tidy here over on the side of my house. But more importantly for me, it keeps the critters out. So if you have a problem with rats and mice, you definitely want to cover your pile here. Then a brick goes on top so the wind doesn't blow it away. And I add new scraps to my compost sack here about once a week as my food scraps and my garden scraps build up. And that way by spring, this compost pile will be done. In the meantime, I'm using my finished compost pile to feed my garden. If you don't do any of these projects, I encourage you to at least do this one. Start your composting now in the fall. Your pile will be breaking down over the winter time, giving you that free black garden gold for the springtime. It really does help you avoid that spring scramble. There's so many things to do in the spring with planting. It allows you to focus on planting your crops rather than by getting your compost pile started. I've got lots of videos on how to compost in more detail. Check those out right here. What I want you to do this week is pick just one of these garden projects to do and let me know in the comments. This way you won't have any regrets come spring, and trust me, you'll be so glad that you did. Thanks for watching. See you next time in the garden.